Hello guys, welcome to my channel. Please like and subscribe my channel for more awesome contents and do support. Let's start the video. His eyes fluttered open and he was immediately hit by a number of scents and sounds. It was so sudden that his head was hurting, and he had to tightly hold his head to stop the pain from spreading. It was at this moment that Dreg mentally spoke and said, "Welcome back, partner. Boy, am I glad to hear you. So what happened to me and where am I?" asked Sai. "Well, you are currently in your rival Valis headquarters. A team member of his found you and brought you here, where me along with Albion and 2 others healed you," replied Drake. "Soka. I guess I owe volley now, don't I?" asked Sai, to which Drake grunted in confirmation. "So Drake, how did the transformation go? And I need to know about any new powers that I might have gained," Sai further asked. "Well, the transformation went off without a hitch. Even Albion helped ensure that. As it stands, you are 90% dragon, with a high affinity for both fire and ice. Being a dragon has strengthened all 5 of your senses multifold, which is why you can hear the different sounds and smell the different scents. Your magical reserves have skyrocketed from meager to almost as high as an average high-class devil. Getting the body of the dragon has also caused an increase in your body strength, with it getting much more sturdier as a result of your muscles and bones breaking and reforming. Even your thinking capabilities have fastened to the point you can make decisions in a matter of nanoseconds. Also, your lifespan that you lost by taking in Valis gem in the Juggernaut Drive has been recovered. And the best of all, since you were exposed to Albion's energy for a long time, you can use your dividing gear without it affecting your life. Also, the soul fragment and past host inside that gem are also awake. The soul fragment, who I address as Al, is your very own vanishing dragon. Also, your appearance has changed as well. Your eyes are now heterochromatic, with one being blue and the other green. Also, your hair, though still major brown, have strips of red and white in them. These are all of the major changes," finished Drake, causing Seiya's eyes to widen. All of those things, specifically the dividing gear, were an amazing upgrade. Now all he needed was training to control his powers, and then he would be unstoppable. Okay, maybe not unstoppable, but strong enough to hold his own against any kind of opponent. "Okay then, Drake, can I talk with Al?" asked Sai. "Of course, partner. He is going to be our partner, so you should treat him like you do to me." "Oi, Al, get over here. Partner wants to talk to you," said Drake before yelling out again. "Sesh, I am here. Don't shout, Drake." "Well, hello there, partner. I am Al, a fragment of the soul of Albion that came to you when you absorbed the gem from Divine Dividing. The reason I wasn't able to wake up earlier was because I was too weak. However, after recent exposure to the Vanishing Dragon's energy and with you being a dragon, I was able to awaken. I hope we get along," said Al. "Nice to meet you to Al. Let's get stronger together," said Sai. It was at this moment that his room door was opened and the same blonde-haired girl who had rescued him walked in. She, however, froze when she saw that Sai was awake. And seeing that he wasn't wearing any shirt, she blushed profusely at the sight of his well-built muscles. She then shyly spoke and said, Sai-sama, Volley-sama asked me to tell you that he wants to talk to you when you wake up. So could you please follow me after changing?" she said as she kept down a fresh pair of clothes. She was about to leave, but she was pulled back into a hug. This caused her blush to intensify as she was touching Seiya's bare chest. He then quietly said, "Thank you, Luffy, you really saved my life back there. I owe you one." He then let her go, causing the poor girl to only nod stupidly before she ran out of his room and into her own. Due to Seiya's enhanced hearing, he could hear Luffy yipping. Chuckling, Sai began to change his clothes. It was at this moment that Drake said, "I'm surprised you actually did that. I thought you would push people away after what happened." Sai smiled before saying, "Do not get me wrong, Drake. I won't be accepting or trusting anyone anytime soon." Luffy, however, didn't do anything wrong and also was part of the people who nursed me back to health. I won't go as far as trusting them completely, but still I will give them a little trust, and from there I will see where it goes. Both Al and Drake nodded at this before Sai left the room to go talk to Volley. He knocked the door to the living room to find Arthur reading a book. Baiku was eating a bag of chips. Kiroka was just laying flat on her back, with Volley doing something on the computer. Sai was surprised he did not think that some famous villains who actually live a life similar to teenagers. Though he soon realized that all of them were his age, so it should not really be all that surprising that they may have similar interests. Volley looked up to see Sai and smirked. He closed his laptop and motioned Sai to sit on the couch opposite to his, to which he complied. Baiku went to sit with Volley. Arthur kept on reading his book, whereas Kiroka was looking at scene with interest. Drake already told us what happened with you, and I want you to know that I am sorry that it did, said Volley. Sai shook his head and said, it's not really your fault. I am thankful to you, actually, as you guys nursed me back to health despite having no reason to do so. Volley smiled a genuine smile before saying, I did have a reason. There was no way I am letting my rival die. The only one who can kill you is me. Though I do want to ask, what do you intend on doing? Are you going to join us? Sai shook his head and said, no, I will be leaving. I am thinking of going off the grid. But, since you guys did nothing to make me doubt you, I will have Drake send you the coordinates of wherever I am. Volley nodded at that before saying, Soka. Then I guess I should wish you luck. Good luck, and remember, if you ever want to talk, we will be here. To which Sai smiled before getting up and walking out the door. Donning his balance breaker, he flew out into the sky. Scene break. Sai had landed at a clearing in a very secluded mountain. Looking around, he decided that this place was perfect to stay for a while. As he built himself a hut, he decided to start training once he made his living arrangements. Once it was done, Sai said to Drake and Al, guys, so what do you think we should do for training? Both of us have decided a perfect plan for you which should take you to the other level. So start mediating and then you can go meet your trainers. Me and Al have already talked to them, said Drake, to which Sai nodded before sitting cross-legged and breathing deeply. He was soon pulled into the gear and entered a white room full of people. Sai recognized them as the users of the boosted gear. He immediately had his guard up. He noticed a striking difference though. Normally when he appeared here, the previous users remained blurry and unrecognizable. Now though, he could see face with perfect clarity. He was unsure what that meant for him. Hey, hi Autosai. Looks like you are in a pinch, you need some direction, you are facing a worthy opponent. These voices are the previous senpai. It's the first time he's heard them speak. Now that he took a closer look, most of the senpais are wearing tuxedos, holding on to wine, looking like gentlemen, and sitting on their chairs with elegance. One of the senpai is shaking the wine glass with no wine inside and says it to me with the speech tone of a gentleman. Fufafu. To get out of a situation like this, we can only use that, correct? What do you mean by that? Yes. We can only use that must be it. The senpais starts to agree with each other. To this flow. You guys aren't telling me to use Juggernaut Drive again, right? I was worried that they must say something dangerous again. But senpais shook their fingers to the sides saying no, no, no. Wrong, yes. We already have graduated from Juggernaut Drive, we were introduced to something even more great, from you. Yes. The power of breast, W. What the heck are you guys saying? These idiotic senpais. They are wearing the clothes of a gentleman, so I was wondering what they were going to say. And they said power of breast. That is an outrageous thing that Sensei predicted, and it is different from the power confirmed. Shit. Why are these senpai putting on such a bright face? Even if I said that, the senpais aren't listening to me and creates a vision on the air of the white world. What appeared is a breast. Let's depend on these breasts. Yes, that is the source of a pie dragon who protects the future. We became gentlemen who enjoys breast after connecting with you. Fufafu, this really doesn't feel bad, eh? What are these guys muttering about? I don't get it. Senpai then put on a serious face and then said it with a serious tone. Hi Autosai. You were once called the weakest Siryu type, a shameless pervert, never amount to anything, yet your straightforward nature and sheer grit and determination made you one of the most powerful figures in the world today. You've shown us how foolish we once were, getting drunk on power and rampaging mindlessly, but you have shown a bright, beautiful light in this once dark world. You cleansed a millennia of hatred with your charismatic personality, and freed us from the chains that we were once bound by. You have shown us a future worthy of fighting for. Fufafa. You have also shown us the gloriousness of a pie. That's why we have decided to help you in your ventures. We who have lifetimes of experience in a multitude of fields will give you the training, knowledge and abilities that will make you shine, as well as aid you in groping a lot of a pie in the future. Go forth and show the world the true power of the Sekai Uryu type. Eyes just stood there, shocked. He couldn't believe it. The senpais of the boosted gear were banding together to train him. Some of the greatest warriors to exist, probably with deadly skills to match. He knew he could learn a lot from them. He also knew it was safe as he trusted Dreg who sent him here. So what exactly are we going to do here? Sai asked his boosted gear seniors. He was excited at the prospect of training but still need a picture of what the final product would be. One of the senpais stepped forward and said, it's simple really. You are an up-close and personal fighter but you have no style. Here we will train you in several different martial arts, making you a lethal fighter even without the balance breaker. Also we will teach you the perfect sword style so that you don't waste that perfect blade of yours. Moving on, you have a high affinity for fire and ice. We along with the past White Dragon Emperor here will help you masterfully tap into those affinities and then help you create your own spells. The past White Dragon Emperor will also help you with your dividing gear. And finally magic training. Since you lack talent in it, we will only teach you enhancement magics, which if you pull off correctly will help you against even the power of destruction. Finally you'll be training your new Vanishing Welsh balance breaker with those two lords out there. That's the end result we are aiming for. Every night we will bring you into the gear and train you in arts and techniques, whereas the next day you can practice them when mastering them completely. The senpai finished. Awesome, that's awesome. I can already see how badass I would look. Let's get started. We've got a year to make me into the biggest badass alive. Sai was happy. Gone were the days when people would look down on him. It was his turn to fly and look down on everything. The old Sai Hayato was gone and now a new one and a much stronger one was born. And the world needed to be ready for the force of nature that was coming their way. Time skip 1 year. It had been a whole year since Sai left the Occult Research Club. During this year he had grown exponentially stronger. He now had his own hand-to-hand style that he created after learning several different styles. He had become a proficient swordsman, one who could force someone of Arthur's caliber to fight seriously. His control over his fire and ice elements had gone up exponentially. He was known to freely manipulate them. He had his own Vanishing Dragon balance breaker and even a combined subspecies, which combined both dragon and ALS power. His dragons wanted him to call the form the true heavenly dragon balance breaker. But he rejected the notion as it would be disrespectful to Valley, who had become a very good friend to Sai. So instead they named it the Vanishing Welsh Dragon Balance Breaker. The said form was red color. Its gems were blue and the whole armor had a white outline in it. Instead of the regular 2 there were now 4 wings and 2 tails instead of 1. We currently find Sai sitting in his cabin recalling how he had slowly gotten close to all of Team Velas members. He had learned that nearly all of them had suffered betrayal in one form or another. After hearing their stories he decided to fix their traumas and help them move on. So he first started with Baiku. Baiku left his ancestral territory for the reason that no one appreciated the amount of work he put in. He would work his ass off to make the others acknowledge him for who he was and not for being the next Wakong. As no one changed their views on him he eventually gave up. And after his training was complete and that he had mastered all of the techniques of the Wukong, he abandoned his ancestral right and began traveling the world. During his travels he had run into Volley, and the two hit off pretty well. It was soon after this that both of them had joined the Cow's Brigade to help Baiku get past his trauma. Sai bluntly told him that he never saw Baiku as a future king or anyone who could be given a position that required responsibility. However, before Baiku could retaliate, Sai pulled him into a bro hug and told him that he would accept Baiku for who he was. A good guy with a kind heart. And also among the best jokers in the world who could make anyone laugh no matter what the circumstance. After all, it was due to Baiku that Sai had finally laughed 3 months after he left the devil's side. He did go further and found Baiku a girlfriend. She was a werewolf who went by the name of Eri Lunark. Not only was she a strong fighter, but she also loved Baiku for who he was. Needless to say that Baiku had declared Sai to be his brother along with Volley and Arthur. He almost made Sai the godfather of one of his future kids. The next person that Sai helped recover was Kiroka. Sai originally had his doubts about her, thinking that she really did give in to power and abandoned her sister to death. The truth, however, was very much different. She had killed her master because he was experimenting on his servants and was changing them into monsters with power. He was going to experiment on Konko, her sister, as well, but she killed him before he could. She also told Sai that the reason she ran away was that she did not want her little sister to live the life of a criminal as she does. Her reasoning was more than enough evidence for Sai that she was innocent. He had promised that he would find evidence that would one day prove her innocence and help her get back to her sister. This surprised Kiroka, who thought that he hated her sister for the part she played in his betrayal. Sai, however, just shook his head at that and said that he may hate Konko, but he did not hate Kiroka. In fact, he saw her as dear friend. This made Kiroka cry tears of happiness, and she expressed her desire to become mates with Sai. Sai, however, rejected her offer, saying that she was only feeling the moment. He would find a mate, but only when his heart was ready. And he did not want her to wait for him because she was someone who deserved genuine happiness. The next was Arthur. Sai found it strange that someone who cared so deeply for his sister to the point of threatening Sai to kill him if he hurt her feelings, would have such a cold exterior mark. The truth, however, was revealed to him by AlphaFlash. She told Sai that Arthur was the heir of the Pendragon family. She told Sai how their family did not care about any of their feelings. The both of them were just tools to be used by the Pendragon family. Because of this, Arthur, despite being a cherry kid, worked as hard as he could to get even the slightest of appreciation from his family. Both of them, however, were content with how life was going, as at the end of the day both she and Arthur had Decother's backs. She then proceeded to tell Sai that the real situation had changed when both Arthur and her own self were engaged to heirs of separate families. In the beginning it was not really such a big matter. And Arthur was fond of his fiancée. And so was AlphaFlash. Things went wrong for Arthur when he one day fell in love with a maid in his mansion. Her name was Ellie. As time went by, both of them had developed strong feelings for each other. To prevent a problem in the future, Arthur informed his fiancée of his decision to break the engagement as he did not love her. His fiancée, in front of his face, agreed and even went as far as to support him. But as soon as he left, she went to their father and told him everything. Their father called Arthur and tried to talk him out of his love for Ellie. Arthur, however, rejected it with fervor. It was at this moment that their father had threatened to have Ellie killed if Arthur did not comply. This was the moment Arthur had decided to run away from his home. Around the time Arthur had developed feelings for Ellie, AlphaFlash told Sai that she had found the real nature of her fiancé. He was an abusive person and a massive pervert. She informed her parents of this and asked them to break the engagement. They, however, rejected this notion and said she had to do it for the good of the Pendragon family. As Arthur had already decided to run away, she herself decided to join him. Arthur, in order to save Ellie's life, stole both Caliban and Excalibur ruler. He threatened his family to give the swords away if they harmed Ellie and ran away. They encountered Volley, who offered them a place in his team and protection offered by the Chaos Brigade. Sai was stunned, but he quickly knew what to do to save the remainder of his heart. He got Ellie's location from LeFay and invaded the Pendragon mansion. He not only rescued Ellie from a prison where she was being held, but he did it in the nick of time as she was about to be raped by LeFay's fiancé. Sai saved her and kicked LeFay's fiancé in the balls before flying away to the location of Velas' mansion. Sai smiled as he remembered the look of pure relief and happiness on both Arthur's and Ellie's faces when they reunited with the Coulter. The next few times that Sai saw Arthur, he was much brighter and actually had a small yet warm smile. Arthur then told Sai that he was worthy to be his brother-in-law and that he would entrust LeFay to him when Sai would be ready to accept her. This caused LeFay to develop a full-blown blush, and Sai could only shake his head in exasperation. The next person was the one and only Volley Lucifer. During one day of his training, Sai decided to take a break and on Al's suggestion decided to visit Northern Europe. At the end of the day, he was sitting in a park when he suddenly smelled 3 scents that were slightly similar to Velas. Deciding to investigate, he followed the scents, and finally saw a mother with 2 small children. The woman then spotted Sai and her eyes widened. Making her way towards Sai, she asked in a shaky voice, "Is it really you, Volley? I can sense your dragon inside." Sai, though shocked, kept his outward reaction stoic. Shaking his head, he said, "No, my name's Sai. By the way, may I ask who is this Volley and what does he have to with my dragon?" The woman sighed before saying, "Since you must be the Red Dragon Emperor, let me tell you a story. I was originally the wife of the original Lucifer's grandson. I had a son who we named Volley. But the son of Lucifer, Rizvim, who was an extremist, tortured Volley because of him being half-blood. My husband was too weak to oppose his father, and in the end we could do nothing. Eventually we heard plans of Rizvim killing me and my husband in front of Volley to break him completely. So my husband faked my death and sent me back to the human world, whereas sacrificing his life. I moved and married again, but I still crave to see Volley. It's been so long since I've looked into those sweet eyes of his." "Oh, I'm sorry, my ranting must be boring for you," said the woman, quickly wiping her tears. She was about to leave, when Sai held her hand and stopped her before saying, "I know Volley. He is fine and is still the same caring boy you knew him to be. Only this time he is a badass fighter and the team leader of a strong group of fighters." The woman's eyes widened as that, and she quickly held Sai's hands and said, "Can you take me to me?" Sai shook his head before smiling and saying, "Wait here." He took out his phone and urgently requested Volley for backup. In a few moments the whole Volley team appeared in the park. Volley, who was expecting a fight, grew a tick mark on his head. However, before he could say anything, he heard a gasp and turned to look in that direction. What he saw shocked him out of his core. The face he had been yearning to see in years was standing in front of him. He was unable to move due to shock. The woman slowly made her way to Volley before touching his cheek. She then softly asked, "Volley, is it really you?" Volley could only nod as he felt tears forming in his eyes, however he fought to keep them in. Seeing this, Sai moved towards him and placed a hand on his shoulder. Before he gave Volley a reassuring nod. It was then that Volley completely broke down and hugged his mother tight. "Mom, Mom, Mom, Mom," he kept on saying as his mother just held him, having a content smile on her face. The whole of Team Volley was smiling at the scene. A few moments later Volley looked up at Sai and said, "Hi." "Oh. No, Sai. I thank you from the very core of my heart. I will never be able to repay what you have done for me." Sai shook his head and said, "You do not have to thank me, Volley. Though if you really feel like making it up to me, try moving past your trauma. I will be there to help you along the way. Now I guess we will leave you to catch up with your mom and meet your siblings." As he said this, the others nodded and teleported back to the HQ. However, before Sai teleported, he said, "One more thing, Volley, when you finally go to kill your grandfather, don't forget to take me with you. He will face the wrath of not one but 2 dragons." Saying that, he teleported away. Velas' mother smiled at what Sai had said before. She said, "You have found yourself a good friend, haven't you, Volley? Volley shook his head and said, "Not a friend, he is my brother. After today, even if the whole world is against him, I will stand by him. We will be known as the strongest heavenly dragons to have ever lived." Vala's mother smiled at him before she took him to her home to introduce him to the rest of her family. As they were walking, Volley was having a conversation with Albion. He said, "I am truly sorry, Albion, but after what Sai did for me, I can't bring myself to fight him. Even if he is the Red One. I hope you forgive me." "It's not a problem, Volley. I was going to say the same thing to you. Both of you are now brothers. I think you should talk to him about his trauma and help him move on as well. Also, since you promised to break your chains, you should look at Kiroka as well." "I know you love her," replied Albion. Hearing that made Volley frown a little. Albion, who was quick to see that, said, "Stop fearing your grandfather. You've got a whole family of strong individuals. They will help you take him down one day," said Albion, to which Volley nodded before cutting off his mental link and going back to talking to his mother. He had so much to tell her. Sai did not stop there. He had also helped Kiroka and Volley get together, which in the end was beneficial for both of them, as they were the most broken parts of the Volley team and needed emotional backing more than anyone else. After this that Sai had officially joined Team Volley, though he would occasionally go back to his cabin. Finally Sai thought about Lefei, the blonde wizard who had somehow broken all of his walls and he had managed to make her place in his hearts. Her sheer innocence and her calm aura were addictive for Sai. He had confessed to her and he was positively surprised when she pounced on him and hugged, all the while squealing. Sai laughed before kissing her on the forehead. Finally packing his things, he made his way back to the HQ where Volley was about to announce something big. When everyone had gathered into the living room of the Volley team HQ, Volley stood up and said, "Everyone, I have decided that we will be leaving the Chaos Brigade and will be joining the Alliance. I am sure all of you are well aware that over the past year all of us have gained something important and worth protecting, which is why I think it's imperative for us to return for their safety," said Volley, with everyone nodding. Volley then turned to Sai and said, "Sai, do you have any problems with this decision?" His voice had signs of worry in them which Sai caught on. Sai knew that if he rejected the idea it would be off the table. But Sai wasn't that selfish, and now he had Lefei. He did not need anyone else. So he just shook his head and smiled before saying, "Not really. I have Lefei and you guys with me. And it's like I hate everyone in the Alliance, it's just the org. Also, I think I have been away for long enough," Sai said as he snuggled into Lefei. Volley smiled before saying, "Very well then guys, we will return and intercept the terrorist attack being set by the old Mao faction on the upcoming raiding game. It will be a good event to get our messages across to both sides."